Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the incredible, kind of mind-bending science behind creating a digital copy of a human brain. It's a journey that takes us from microscopic neurons all the way to massive supercomputers. So, let's jump right in.
So let's start with a question that sounds like it's been pulled straight out of a sci-fi movie but is actually becoming a very real, very serious scientific goal. I mean, what if you could back up your consciousness, your memories, everything that makes you, well, you?
So there's actually a technical term for this whole idea. It's called Whole Brain Emulation, or WBE for short. And the goal here isn't just to build an artificial brain. No, it's about perfectly recreating a specific brain with all its unique quirks and memories right inside a computer. And it's a concept you've probably already seen before.
Yeah, if any of this is ringing a bell, it's probably because shows like Black Mirror have already gone there, exploring the amazing and, let's be honest, often terrifying possibilities of this tech. We're talking digital afterlives, copies of our minds that can be interrogated, you name it. But the real question is, how far is this from our reality?
Well, before we can even dream of emulating a mind, scientists have to complete this absolutely monumental task. They need a complete neuron-by-neuron map of the brain's entire wiring. This is like step one, the absolute foundation for everything else.
And that monumental task, it has a name, connectomics. The easiest way to think about it is like creating the ultimate blueprint of the brain. It's not just about listing all the parts, it's about meticulously tracing every single wire and every connection to understand how the whole system is actually put together. You know, for the longest time, progress here was just glacial. Get this. The very first complete connectome ever mapped, which was finished way back in 1986, was for this tiny little worm, C. elegans. And that number you see, 302 neurons, that seemingly small map took more than a decade of crazy, intensive manual labor to create. But then, just recently, science took this massive leap forward. In 2024, researchers published the full wiring diagram of an adult fruit fly. Now we're talking about 160,000 neurons. That's a huge jump for sure. But honestly, it's just a warm-up for the main event. Okay, so this is where it gets really mind-boggling. Let's talk scale. The human brain doesn't have thousands of neurons, or even millions. We're talking an estimated 86 times billion, with trillions of connections. The jump from a fruit fly to a human isn't just a step up, it is absolutely astronomical. It's a whole different universe of complexity.
So you can probably guess that mapping a human brain with the old tech, it's a non-starter, just impossible. The cost, the time, it's unthinkable. And that is exactly why this next part, a recent breakthrough in microscopy, is such a huge deal for the entire field. It's a new method called LICON, and honestly, it's a total game changer. Basically, it lets researchers swap out these multi-million-dollar, super specialized electron microscopes for standard light microscopes, the kind of equipment thousands of labs around the world already have. This makes the whole process cheaper, faster, and way more accessible. So how does it work? Well, this is the really clever part. Instead of trying to build a ridiculously powerful microscope to see tiny things, they figured out how to make the tiny things bigger. They take a slice of brain tissue, infuse it with this special hydrogel. Yeah, it's kind of like the stuff in diapers, and it physically expands. And the result is just wow. It's like taking a sugar cube and swelling it up to the size of a tissue box. By doing that, all those tiny, once invisible neural structures become big enough to see and map with a regular old light microscope. It's such an elegant solution to a monstrously complex problem.
Okay, so let's say we've got the map. We have the perfect blueprint of the brain. Now we hit the next massive hurdle. What kind of computer could possibly run this thing? A simulation of 86 billion neurons is an unimaginable amount of data.
Well, this exact problem has given rise to a whole new class of hardware, neuromorphic chips. See, your standard computer chip has separate spots for memory and for processing, and it's constantly shuttling data back and forth. These new chips, they're designed to work more like an actual brain, where the processing and memory are all mixed together. It makes them way, way more energy efficient.
And yeah, this field is really heating up. You've got big names like BrainChip, Intel, and IBM all in the game, and each of their chips has slightly different strengths, focusing on things from robotics to AI on your phone, but they all share that same core goal: massive, brain-like computational power that uses just a tiny sip of electricity. All right, so we've got these brand new mapping tools, and we're building these totally new kinds of computers. It feels like the dream of whole brain emulation is getting closer, right? Well, yes, but we really need to keep the timeline in perspective. This is going to be a long, long road.
And you can really see that journey laid out on this timeline. I mean, think about it. What took over a decade for that tiny worm is now happening for much more complex insects in just a couple of years, thanks to all this new tech. The pace is definitely picking up, no doubt about it.
So, the billion-dollar question, or I guess the 86 billion neuron question, is when? When could we actually see a full human emulation? Well, experts like Randall Cohen, who is a huge voice in this field, he puts it this way. He'd be astonished if we even get a simple mouse upload in the next 20 years. But he'd be equally astonished if we don't emulate the human brain sometime in the next century.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves. The hurdles that are still in front of us are just immense. We have to scale up the mapping tech by like a factor of 10,000 just to tackle a mouse brain. We need to build the software that can actually replicate what a neuron does. We have to build hardware powerful enough to simulate all 86 billion neurons in real time. And then there's the big one. We have to confront the deep, philosophical questions about identity and what it even means to be us.
And that's really the question we want to leave you with. If we pull all this off, if a perfect digital copy of your brain wakes up on a server somewhere, sharing every single one of your memories, your hopes, your fears, is it still you? Or is it just a perfect ghost in the machine? That's a question technology might force us all to answer, and maybe sooner than we think.